Well, Max, how's that feel the day after that stunning performance?
Yeah, I've ticked off winning the prelim. That was a pretty special feeling last night against a rival as well. We've had some pretty incredible games with Geelong over the last sort of 5 years, and some games before that weren't as incredible, that they were able to touch us up. So it's quite fitting that it ended up being Geelong that we were the ones that were able to get over the line in the prelim. But it was just special to play in front of 60,000. It's been a long time between playing in front of 60,000. Last time was maybe Anzac Eve, which was round 5 or 6, and that was pretty special back then. And I've just been waiting for that crowd to come back, and we've had to come over the other side of Australia to get it done. But that was a pretty special feeling.
Was it nice having there were so many Melbourne fans there and chanting your name? I mean, what was that like?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the sea of red and blue that I saw. I just had a feeling it'll be a bit 50-50, a couple of neutrals, but the Melbourne supporters really turned out. I know of a lot of Melbourne supporters that are actually members that live in Perth, and then also South Australia and Tasmania. Some people have made the travel. I know Benny Brown's family are making their way over. Alex Neil-Bullen's mum was front line of the cheer squad last night, so they've come from far and wide to be here. Unfortunately, the eastern states aren't here, and I would say majority of our supporters are probably in those states, and we do feel for those guys. But the other states and the Melbourne supporters in those states are definitely lapping it up.
What's it been like in the hours since, Max, for you? I'd imagine maybe a sleepless night. Does your mind wander, or what goes through your head after something like that?
Yeah, it wasn't much sleep last night. I'm a big tennis fan as well, so I was watching Medvedev play the young Canadian, and then watched Novak this morning. So I was sleepless night. I'm a bit tired this morning, but the good thing is we've got a bye, which is quite random. But we do have 2 weeks before the grand final, so we just experienced that. What we did this last 2 weeks here in quarantine, and I'm presuming Burjo's going to have a similar program. So these first few days are off, which we're going to enjoy.
I presume that you played as if the group that had so much faith in itself and so much belief, but to do that on that stage against that team must absolutely reaffirm all that you've been working towards.
Yeah, I've always been a big believer that the team that's in form at the end of the year tends to be the team that goes the whole way, and that goes back last sort of 6 or 7 years. And we've been in some really good touch. We beat West Coast at this stadium sort of 6 or 7 weeks ago, and we've had some big wins in and around that, including the qualifying final against Brisbane. And the team's really well balanced. It's been a similar 22-23 for the last sort of 7 weeks, and we're confident with our game style that it could have taken on anyone, and it just happened to be Geelong in a prelim, and next week it's going to be either obviously Port or Doggies, and we're pretty confident that our game style will definitely stack up.
How much do you enjoy last night and then shift the focus to, I guess, the bigger prize and the prize that you all want? How determined now are you for that premiership?
Yeah, I definitely wasn't thinking about the premiership the last sort of 3 or 4 days, because the prelim is such a big game, and with the opposition that we were up against, and the rivalry that we have, like round 23 was literally a goal after the siren, which we don't need to go into who kicked it, but that like to have that game coming up and how big prelims are, and obviously our history in prelims, and my mind and focus was completely on that. And now this is my first grand final week, and it's a novelty. It's 2 weeks, and we're in a Western bubble over here, and it's going to be quite unique. But to be a part of that is going to be something special and something that I'm really going to enjoy. So I'm not sure when it'll flick over. I think if I start thinking about the granny now, I might cook myself pretty early. So I might try and lap up the sun a little bit and watch the game tonight. That's again another interesting feel that I might not have again, winning the first prelim and being able to watch the other games. So I'll sit back and enjoy that and watch our opposition and then have a few days off.
When did you turn into Peter Dacos? Snapping those goals.
Yeah, well, the first goal, I was in a bit of trouble because I thought it was touched, and it was touched, but the umpire called it the mark. And then when I took my step to play on, I had a feeling that if I missed it, I was coming off the ground. But I was able to snap it, and then I got some confidence from that, and so did our midfield. And I mean, Christian Petracca gave me almost every one of my goals. So I was just happy to be playing in what I think is one of the greater Melbourne midfields I've seen, with Clayton Oliver, Jack Viney, and Christian Petracca in some superb form.
Which was your favourite goal of the 5?
Favourite goal? Oh, the first one. I've tried that at training a lot, and I belly it 9 times out of 10. So to actually snap it for once was a good result.
What about your hot streak in the third quarter? Did you feel a little bit unstoppable at one point?
So half time the game was in the balance, and with the history of the clubs, the prelim final, I certainly knew that the game wasn't done. It was five goals, and Geelong are an outstanding team, and a few of the guys actually reminded us on the way off the ground that we're going to need to kick more to win, and we're going to need to win the game at least 2 or 3 more times in that second half. And we knew that their centre bounce team was going to be the team that was going to bring them back into the game, and that was our chance to throw the first punch, and we were able to do that. Obviously, I got on the end of a couple, but there was some outstanding efforts in that third quarter that really got the game on our terms.
You touched on it a little bit before about not thinking too much about next week, because it's almost uncharted territory, this 2 weeks off, but so much externally is going to be about the history of this footy club. How do you ensure that you don't get too caught up in that, and the playing group doesn't get too caught up in that?
I've been caught up in the history of this club since I got drafted. I love the club and I love everything it's about, and unfortunately they haven't been able to taste success since 1964, and they still haven't. As much as last night would have been a buzz for a lot of people, especially in the eastern states, we still haven't got that drought. We haven't broken that drought. We've got to go one more time against a quality opposition if it's Port or Doggies. So I'm a history buff, history nuff when it comes to Melbourne, and I love some of the storylines and the past players that have gone before me, but it's not done till we win this game. And we came to Perth knowing that we're going to get 2 games in, and well, not knowing, you had to tick one off, but we wanted to tick 2 games off, and we've ticked 1 out of 2, so we got 1 more to go.
What's being out of quarantine mean for you guys? Can you just wander around willy-nilly, live a normal life?
I went to the beach this morning, which was good. But yeah, we don't really know. We're sort of learning, as you guys probably are as well, what we can actually do. I think the AFL will have some extra guidelines just to stay safe, which is fair enough. But we're in a relatively good resort in where we are now, and yeah, just a small little freedoms that we might be able to get a coffee somewhere or go to the beach. I don't think boys are going to get too far out, just to make sure that we don't run into some trouble.
What about the grand final parade? I mean, it's a big part, and the stage not going ahead. Would you like it to go ahead in Perth?
I mean, that's part of the grand final that I've known, is there is a parade, but I'll be pretty soaked up in the game the next day anyway, so it won't faze me too much if it goes ahead. I'm sure we'll have some sort of function, even if it's a Zoom. There'll be something that's going on that day, is my guess. So parade or no parade, I think I'll still be pretty lapped up in what's going on. I'm in an interstate Perth bubble that are footy fanatics in a neutral town against either Port or Doggies, and it's going to be pretty exciting no matter what.
What's your message to Melbourne supporters who are disappointed about not being able to see you in the flesh in the grand final?
Oh yeah, like it is what is driving us. Not only family, staff members, friends that we've left back as well, but also the 60,000 members, and then those that aren't members that are in those states. Obviously Queensland, New South Wales, but mainly Victoria, that can't get to WA to watch it. Obviously, we're feeling for them. Their passion and like get into our phones today is what is really driving us. Seeing the joy that it's bringing people, even in their own living room. Like I felt like amazing amounts of shame knowing that my wife just watched that by herself on the couch last night with no friends or family around her. Like, you just want everyone to be able to enjoy what we're doing out on the football field, but that's the situation we're in. So we're trying different ways, and the media team here at the club have been super in trying to bring what we're doing here to the guys at home. But in the end, nothing is going to be like not being able to be there. So just keep sending us that stuff online, and we'll try and bring it home for them.
How's Stephen May pulled up this morning, and has he had a scan yet?
He's disappointed he can't play golf. I think he's been ruled out of golf, but which I think is one of the things we're allowed to do, which is I think someone went out and played golf this morning. Hopefully we're allowed to do it, otherwise I've just dobbed him in. But Maisie, I think I just got told he's training Monday. Yeah, I've got told he's training Monday, which is 2 days away. So yeah, I would highly doubt that Stephen May would miss a grand final even if his hamstring was off the bone.
And the Nathan Jones situation, you've obviously had a lot of history together. How have you seen him deal with that realisation, I suppose, of missing out in the grand final?
Yeah, it shows his character. This guy's a warrior, and has set this club up to be in this position. He won't be remembered for the Melbourne of old. He'll be remembered for changing Melbourne, and that's definitely the way I will remember him. And if we have seen the last of him, I'm not sure what his plans are for next year or anything like that, but the character that he's going to not put pressure on the selection committee with James Jordan, who's been subbed the last 7 or 8 weeks and probably deserves to be subbed for 9 weeks. He's not going to put the pressure in that situation. He's going to stand up and say, no, I want to be there to see the birth of my twins. So he's going back to Melbourne. I think he's actually just left just then. And yeah, he's a bigger man than me. It's a really tough decision, but he wants to see the birth of his twins, and he also wants to see a flag. But obviously one thing comes first in this incredible situation we're in with COVID and borders and whatnot. So yeah, I think he saw that potentially he'd done all we can to try and get a game, and there was, let's say it's a 3 or 4% chance that he was going to play this week. He'd rather be with the Twins.
Max, obviously you know firsthand how difficult that is. Has it been a bit emotional for him internally, you know, telling you and telling the boys and that sort of thing?
He's had 2 weeks in quarantine, brings out some sort of emotions. And his have been right up there. I've spent a fair bit of time with him over these last 2 weeks, trying to talk with him about decisions and whatnot, and if we win, if we lose, if there's an injury, if there's not an injury, if there's bad form, if there's not bad form, and all those things are going through his head. But in the end, he had this one trump card, and it was to see the birth of his twins. Like, it's a pretty big trump card, and he's really excited to get back there and start his family of 4. It's going to be a pretty hectic family of 4. If you know the Joneses, they're a pretty hectic family of with 2 kids. So to have an extra 2 is going to be pretty crazy. And I guarantee you, he'll be the first FaceTime if we do win. He'll be the first FaceTime call I make, and I'll be trying to see the twins, and I'll be making sure that he sees what's going on in the change rooms.
Do you allow yourself to dream of winning the flag and ending the drought?
I was dreaming of it when we were winning spoons in 2012. And I always, every pre-season I started the pre-season thinking we would win the flag. And I think you'd be stupid if you don't go into a season thinking you'd win the flag or be in the top part of finals. And I was thinking that when everyone else, like you guys, would have been thinking we're a wooden spoon chance. So now that we're in this position, I certainly am really excited. We're a 1 in 3 chances, 3 clubs left, but really a 1 in 2 chance to break the drought and take home the cup. But if I thought the prelim is one of the hardest games to play, I'm pretty sure the grand final is going to be up there as one of the hardest games to win as well.
Neil Danaher, there's a petition to bring him over. Would you like to see him in WA to be there for the grand final?
Oh, Neil brightens up my day every time I see him. So if he manages to get on a plane and get over here, that would be amazing. He's cutting it pretty fine at the moment. He'd have to come today, wouldn't he? Is that 14 days? So hopefully he's on a plane. He's a Melbourne hero, but I'd love to see 100,000 people be able to board that plane. He is on top of the list, but yeah, if I get to see Neil, even if it's FaceTime, he brightens up my day.